Welcome back to my fourth tutorial. Yeah, fourth tutorial on SOAPUI. Okay, so in this class, I hope you guys have got familiar with SOAPUI, and if you have installed it, that's good. You would have got some information. And this is workspace properties, and this advertisement. This always starts with advertisement. So yeah, here you can find with documentation. You go ahead with community, or you want to get certified, you can try all those things. Alright, so here we're gonna start. I don't know why this starts with error. The moment I see this, it shows an error. Okay, let's not worry about it. Okay, so now what we are gonna do is no, I don't want to do. So what we'll do here is, guess what? We'll talk about WSDL now. So web services description language. So this is what we will be talking about. Okay, we'll go to this slide pretty quick and see. So here WSDL is an XML language. Of course, we will see that it's actually a web services interface to call a web service. That's a good thing. So here's an example for you. So why this WSDL and what is this all about? So it's used to call the web services. That's a very good thing. And let me give you an example here. Although I don't have that option, a lot of option here, let me give you an example. So whenever you this thing works in different way, but here's the thing. Let's say I'm in United States. Let's assume I'm in United States. Okay, I'm in United States and I'm calling Bank of America, right? I'm calling this 1-800 number. I don't know what have the 1-800 number, and call those guys. I don't even put this. I just put save the number and see. So unfortunately those guys, they have direct numbers, of course, but I'm not aware of this direct number, so I have to go through all this IVR. That's called interactive voice response, right? So here's the thing. So whenever I use that IVR response, right? Let's say enter or say your name. Let's say I'll say Manumitra, or I'll type it, or enter your password or PIN, 189 or something like that. So let me show you that. Actually, guess what? We have this is screenshot. Remember? So this is what happens when you actually call Bank of America. Not just Bank of America. I'm just saying an example. So you give this information either by voice or by typing from your phone pad, right? Your name, what is your address, 25 Street, what is city, Wilmington, oh yeah, it's just in Wilmington, country code US, first name Steve's, last name Jobs, what is your phone number, and all this information, SSN, you give all this information over the phone. Remember, when you call this Bank of America, only then they transfer this to the real customer executive, unless and until they don't transfer it, you know that. So that is called IVR. So that is this. Okay, that IVR is actually this. So this is WSDL. So this calls that web services actually. So this is what all about. So I wanted to give you an example of Bank of America. So that's what we are going to talk about is WSDL. Web services description language. Okay, whenever you call those guys, you put that information, and that when you send the request, right, it gets a response, right? So that's the reason you get this is not a valid option, please enter 1, or please enter 5 for English, please enter 2 for language. So those kind of thing, right? So whenever you get those, that goes to the request to the server and get the response. That response is what you get in the call. Okay, so that is an example of WSDL. It calls a web service. Okay, so that's what I wanted to give. So that's what you will be testing this. I mean, that's one of the example. That's not just one. There are literally a lot of examples. Web services is, you have so many things in web services. Everything is runs on web services actually. So this just IVR is one of the example for WSDL. That's what I wanted to give you an example. So WSDL is an XML formatting for describing the network services set of endpoints. Yeah, so that's what we did. So let's look into a little bit broader view here. So how a client invoking the web services. Let's say this is a client, so I am the client and I'm calling Bank of America, but I want the real customer executive, but I never get a real customer executive unless I go through all this process. Okay, then that's SOAP, then it goes to the messages and then hits back, and I have to put that real response again. It goes to it and hits back, and then again this is like goes for for a few times, and then I put 9. I think it was at that time it was 9. Then it transferred that to the customer executive. Otherwise I will be in the loop of this WSDL. Keep putting these numbers, keep putting this my date of birth, keep putting my SSN and all those things, keep running around this WSDL whole day. It took like almost one day. I mean, I tried to call that Bank of America. It took like 1 hour, one and a half hour. I was tired. Now why don't they have this direct option, put 9 and go to customer service? They didn't have option at that time. Now I think it has been changed, probably, I don't know, but at that time it was so hard for me. So it's like, you see, this is how it works. It goes through various process and it goes to server to get these operations. Okay, so this is how you can use this. So yeah, so okay, yeah, the structure of WSDL is important. Here you have definition. It's an XML. We know the XML, right? You have to know XML for this. So it's a definition and the message. Definition, type, what type it is providing, and the message, what message are you transmitting is very important. If you see the screenshot here, you have all this. So here you have header, body, and the client. You see this track, and the client address is this IP address, and the product ID is BG. So these are the information what you are transferring. Message, port type, binding, port, service. Okay, this is what you will be transmitting to the server, so that you will get response from the server. Okay, and namespace, you can go to that. Okay, so this is just an message you get, what message you get from this, what message you are inputting to the server, and what response you are getting. So that's about it. So yeah. So message name weather dot get temperature, so you get a temperature from that particular server. Okay, so zip code, so this is what it is. So you are putting here zip code. You also suppose you have the zip code. See here 1981. I put a file zip code, but this was for testing. But you also have the zip code option to put it. Okay, so that's how it is. And this operation. So this is what it contains. WSDL contains a lot of information in it, and we will run one of things today and see how this thing works. Okay, and you can go through this document. This is, as I said, this is theoretical part actually. I will add this one to handouts. This is already in the handout. Yeah, let me go ahead and click on this and put it in this here. I'll just put as WSDL introduction so that you have some idea. Okay, so right now, okay, script to test. So this is important. Okay, so we'll go to here and see what are we going to test. So let's see here. I want to, so anything which ends with WSDL, WSDL is actually the real WSDL file. Okay, so you can use this in browser. I'll show you through browser first thing. First thing we'll go through this browser and see how this WSDL looks like. Let's see this. So this is the XML file. Okay, this contains lot of information. This is small, you are lucky. we'll go to the small. And then the NASA thing, and this weather cover has complex, and the NASA is much more complex than that. Oh, I know that's going detail will be your homework actually. So here this I'll explain the easy one, and the hard one is for your homework. Because that requires a lot of R&D and lot of things you have to find out a lot of things, and it's kind of a more it's brainstorming 3-4 people have to work on that and see how you have to get it. Okay, so this is simple, this is very simple, one page visual. Port number, as it says, has port definitions. It's an XML file. You see here, you can change this. Changing this, you are just shorting up. So here, if you see here, so okay, good. So this is one line. It looks for you just like one line code here. Definition ended with definition. But when you expand it, it has types, message, port type, binding, and services. These are the important things to what an WSDL contains. Okay. But you can go the message. What the message is? This is a parameter, and then you have this. Technically, you can also be a developer, WSDL developer, and create your own WSDL. But that's not what we are trying to do here. We're trying to understand and run this WSDL. Let's run it. Let's use this in our SOAPUI. So I closed this one. This was pretty easy. Actually, at that time it was pretty easy. Just run it, and at that time it was, for me, it was that easy. Put that developer used to give this endpoint, and this is the endpoint. I used to just put it and run it. That's it. If you can get error, call to the developer. Hey, you know what? This is error. This is error. So I was not even changing these parameters. Some of them I changed it. So this was the changed one. I used to change my own parameters. But yeah, you have to change your own parameters. But let's see here. Let's go to, either I can do here new SOAP project, it will come to the same thing. So I know the WSDL, so I'll put this WSDL, and project name automatically it changed for me for number conversion. Okay, I'll just use it, and what I'll do here is I will check mark this, create a test sheet for my imported WSDL. I want this for test sheet. Why? Because I'll be doing load testing. I can do load testing, functional testing, we'll think about this later. And load testing will probably, load testing and security testing will probably, I am assuming it will be in next class, but we'll check it out. And stores all files and projects. Okay, let's do this. We will just save it. We'll click on OK first thing, and it's running it. If you see this, it's running it, and now this is generating a test suite for you, right? Now I can check this, generate a default load test. For now, I just not do that. Now I'll click OK. Wanted to test sheet, SOAP binding test. I'll put a default and click OK. That was one test sheet because it has 2 messages, I guess, right? If you see this, how many messages does this have? It has many messages, but let's see here. It has many messages, but 2 things, right? The words to SOAP response, dollars to SOAP record. So probably they had this 2, so 2 test case. One is numbers to dollars and numbers to words. Okay, and this will be my second test suite. All right, so 2, 1. I'll rename it probably 1. Okay, now let's this looks good. So this is my test case. Okay, these are my test cases. Because I can either I can use this one or I can use this one. Okay, probably I'll be using this my test cases, not the original one. Okay, Now here you have this load testing, security testing. We can use both of these things. Okay, good. What we'll do right now is we'll save this. Yes, where do I want to save? That's a very good question. Where do I want to save? I will save this. This will be software, because I'll save this where I install my SOAPUI, right? I create this will be saving as XML file, only XML file. So can I create a new folder, and number I put is number conversion. This is, I've never done this actually, so hit enter and I'll save right here. Okay, good. So what I did, I saved this my file. So saving was very important for me, because moving forward with the project, moving forward with the classes, you know, this becomes important because we will be doing load testing and security testing. All right. Okay, so see, here's the two things we can do. We can actually, I'm supposed to explain you the assertions too. My bad, I almost missed that. But so assertion I didn't explain, right? I never explained that, so you can do that one. Or let's see, moving forward I can explain you with assertions, but we'll complete this as a tutorial point of view. Okay, so this is my main, these two things if you see here, and number conversion soap binding is the main one, and the black colors, you know, this black ones are my test seats. That means my test cases that I have to run. First let's run this. What I'll do is, this is the main thing. There's no run option, right? Do you see any run option? I don't care it anymore. What I'll do here is, right, this is options. I'm really not bothered where is the run option. I'll double click it. What I'll do is double click it. That's all. Now let's find out what's happening. Alright, so this is what it's happened. So what happened is, it ran two things. Here there are two things, number $2, number 2 words. That's good. Now in SOAPUI Pro, right, you can you have this, there's no password, it's only this similar things. Here you go. Oh, you know what, before doing this you have to see this SOAPUI log and see what's happening here. You want to see this after June 3rd, 1520, yeah, 15202. You want to see here what's happening, what it's trying to do, how it's yeah, number $2, number 2 words. It ran two scripts, that is number $2 and number 2 words. That's good. Okay. That's what it is. In HTTPS logs, HTTP logs is actually this log which we have logged in, right? So that's the HTTP log. Okay, this is pretty much what. Okay, so here this has these options. You can view these options. So this is XML file. You can view here what's happening. Okay, this is nothing to do anything here actually, unless you're a developer, you want to change something, or you don't want to do anything. You cannot do anything here actually. So this is what it happened. Okay, now these are the global element schemas. Actually, guess what, we have this, we don't have in this actually. So these are the schemas. This is the schema that happened. And the messages, of course, we have this messages, 4 messages, of course, 1 2 3 4. You can put that as an assertion. It's good point, but we didn't run through test case. We are just running this as a whole bunch of whole stuff. That means it's running the whole stuff, whatever it is there. So 4 messages, of course, 4 messages. 1 2 3 4. It's good. So we are good. And look into this, what is each message contains, conversion of this XML. Okay, fine. Port types two number $2. This was easy actually. We'll get more complex into the next one. Port types. We have this port types. If you see here, documentation and input and two port types actually, I think, right? But they closed in this. Okay. Anyways, you have this port types. Okay, this sub two types, number $2 and number 2 words. Great. Then you have bindings. Of course, we have these bindings. The same XML thing we are seeing here, but here we are viewing it in the tool. We are viewing that in a browser. That's the only difference. All right. So that's the content of WSDL content. Okay, good. So here there is no point of adding any assertion, but you cannot add it technically. You cannot add here. Let's run this compliance. WS-L compliance. What happens? Let's run this. Let's run this, and you got this report. Fair enough. We just close this. It shows this is from IBM, and this lot of report 6 have been passed. One is not applicable. Very good. So everything looks good. Pass. Fair enough. You know what? I just wanted to. I can only save this as an XML. Unfortunately, it's supposed to. I don't want PDF file or something, but probably you can convert it. Let's see here. I can save it. And let's not do that here, but I can actually do this in Pro One. Probably you can export this into PDF or MS Word. I think PDF filer. This is the conversion. You can save this one. Let's see here if I have any options to save in PDF. There's no way of saving this actually. In Pro you can save it. This is, we are using open source, right? So this is the config. This is if any errors you see in this error log, VSRM logs, you don't see anything. Memory log, you want to see how much memory is consumed. I don't think this is required at this point of time, so let's not worry about it. Tools is a separate thing, so we'll just close it. So this is pretty much we ran the whole bunch of stuff, right? We ran the whole bunch of WSDL. So we don't know what actually happened. So let's not worry. Let's close this. Technically, we close this. Now, the question comes when we run this. Now we ran the whole bunch, right? I just use this and double click it. You can do this for this too. And this will run it, and this compliance, once you run this, it shows this again. This is for number conversion. So there are there are two in the project number conversion. There are two things: number conversion, number $2, and then you have somehow there are two bindings actually. Let me show you. Yeah, there are two bindings. So that's the reason you have these two things. But both are not same. There's a difference in the web services content. Once you run it, the report, once you run the report, you will see that actually there's a difference. Okay, so I'll close this. Okay, good to know. Alright, that was something. Now what I'll do here, instead of running that whole bunch, I'll go to in detail and test step 1. Now I have this test step 1 for one binding. Let's say there are two bindings, right? For one binding, I'll open this and I'll go to number $2. So if you see here, this things got changed. It's properties and values. You no more can add anything here, but let's double click it. Let's see what happens. Oh, great. So when I used to do this, right, this was my simple project, and this was the end point. See here, this was so easy at that point of time. I didn't have these many of things. Let me show you that screenshot once again. Actually, I like the screenshot. This was, everything was inbuilt at that time. You know, this was this thing, and I supposed to run only thing, and that's it. But now this has become more complex. So now what you will do here, you will change some values, put some number here, because this will convert numbers to dollars. Okay, that's the web services is all about. Let's say I'll put 10. It will just put as what it's supposed to show is $10, because that number 10, it's converting into dollars, so it will show you $10. Let's find out. Let's run this. See here, I mean, it just changed to figures. Okay, no, it doesn't change into dollars though, but so what it did is 10. Whenever I put 10, the response, this is the request, right? This is the request, and the response is going to you know, it's changing into $10. Very good. Let's try something else. 100. Now I'll run this. So it will show it $100. Oh, $100. That's more specific. That's good. I will check it out my logs, see if I have any errors, and what happened when I use this. Consume a lot of memory. I'll see my HTTP log is taking a lot of things, and I'll see these memory logs. Memory logs not useful at this point of time, because we are not doing any load testing. Load testing, you have to check the memory, how much memory it is utilizing. You want to make sure less memory should be there. So okay, alright, so what this web services, what this web service does is it changes into numbers to dollars. That's what it is there, right? Numbers to dollars. That's what it does. It's that simple. But you know, the next project what I'm going to explain, probably it will be tomorrow's class. That will be much more harder, because that doesn't do numbers to dollars. That is more complex. Okay, now let's put assertion. Now I'll add assertion. Oh, I didn't study about this. Too bad. Okay. I ran this, right? So I want to put as proper. There is no JSON. Okay, no problem. We'll just use this. So since it contains 100, so I'll put the content as $100, because I want to check. So assertion is like you are checking it, right? So I want to put as is it everything is good? Okay. You can have this option and click on this. Now I have one assertion added. So now next time if I run this 100, my test case should get passed. It's that simple. Okay, let's do that. Contains value. Now this makes sense, because my assertion was content was $100 and it has $100. See here, I use very easy one to explain you. That feels so good for me, because that was easy really, right? Now I'll show you how to fail that assertion. If I put 10, of course it's a 10 and this shows as $10. Let's run it. But my assertion will fail because it's $100. Let's find out. Here you go. My test case has failed and everything became red color, because 10, it shows $10, but assertion was $100, right? So now the whole point. So I'm glad that I have learned from you guys, that I have known how to use assertion in this. I never knew how to use this assertion. Okay, this was my first time, so it was good. I hope you understood what's the concept of assertion, right? Assertion is to check whether the response is equal to the value what you have input. So you are predicting the value. It's not a machine learning or deep learning or something. It's not a machine learning, but the point is you know what is the test case and how it's going to end, right? You know, so let's say I'm using 10 and output should be $10 and the assertion I'm putting as 10. So that's the whole point. So it's kind of test case. That's the assertion. You got my point? It's like rechecking the same thing what you have supposed to get. I'm putting here 100, but the response here is getting $10. So that's the reason my test case has failed. Does it make sense? I hope it makes sense, right? That was easy assertion. There's a difficult assertion which I fail to understand, but probably I'll try to. It's better to understand the easy way, right? If I explain you in a complex way, you have to also understand it. It's not me. You have to also get a grab, get a good understanding on that. If you're not getting it, there's no point. So let's see again. So my content. My thing was $100, but it's showing as $10. That was the problem. Now if I run this with $100, my assertion will pass, because my assertion is valid because I put $100 and the response is $100. Does it make sense? Right? I can put n number of assertions here. Okay. I'll put one more assertion. So there are many options. Property context, so these are disabled. This is not using any of those. JSON path, I try to practice this JSON path count. I just put a string or contain, so that was easy assertion. Okay, so this is part of the test case in SOAPUI. So this was not there in previous one, right? I mean, this thing I learned recently. So okay, and then compliance, invalid HTTP code. This gets more complex, man. This thing is this gets more and more complex when you are doing security testing. This thing will get more and more complex. But script assertion, if you know any script, let's say if you're putting some script, let's say you want this script, you can get that script assertion too. Oops. I don't want this one. Okay, I'm just using small one, and so that's the reason it came in the green color. You see this green color? So probably we'll go to this load because I wanted to explain this one, and this is XML. You have this raw file too, but raw file is not that important. We are interested in an XML. So this was the easiest one that I could get on the internet to explain you to how to get a response request. And this is the request. I'm giving request to the server, and the server is doing converting that numbers to dollars. It's not just like appending dollars to that, but it's actually converting it. It's doing that work. That's what it happens whenever you call. Let's say in IVR2, right? Whenever I call Bank of America, that thing converts into that particular format and returns it. Okay, so you want this, you want that. Call to customer care. Give me customer care, man. Just don't give all these things. So that's how this IVR thing was related to that. I mean, I worked on that one, so that's the reason I know this. IVR is one of the examples for web services. So these are web services. Web services testing, probably not web services. I would be specific. Wisdom. Okay, web services description language. Okay, Guess what, I can put a JDBC and JMS. There's a lot of assertion which you can put. If you have anything, you can put that one, but we don't want that. Okay, so that's the use of assertion. I was really worried on that. I was not able, thought that I will not able to explain you assertion. That was the important concept of the test case. Okay, so if I put any number, let's say $10,000, now this comes into 10,000. The server, okay, now I'm requesting 10. I'm sorry, this is 10,000. No, this is 1,000. I'm sorry, 1,000. So you should say $1,000, right? That should convert that number into dollars. Okay, but my test case will fail because it only understands here $1,000. It has converted for me, but my thing was only at assertion was $100, right? So that's about assertion. Okay, so we'll run it again and make this assertion pass. Okay, so my assertion is valid and my test case is passed. You can see the request, how many times I have run it. Okay, and good to know. And no authorization. There's nothing to do with authorization. Here you can see this headers, and there's no attachment as such. And logs, of course, keep an eye on logs. I'll just close this. Keep an eye on logs, what's happening, how it's happening, what it's doing. If possible, always, guess what? Copy to clipboard. Oh, good. Export to file .txt, .log. Okay, that's good. Always possible, do this. Do me a favor. If you are working at the workplace, save this log, then this will save you a lot of work. The reason, because your where is it? It's supposed to be log file, right? It has saved into. Okay, let's try to save it again. Oh, I'm sorry, man. This is too bad. Okay, .log, and it's supposed to be .log. Okay, now it will be good. For some reason I screwed up second time. Okay. No, it should be there here. Oh, here you go. We don't need this one anymore. Okay, this log files are always opens in text. So here this shows you what have you done and what is happening. So this gives a developer an idea whenever you're doing testing. It gives an idea of that what's happening here. Okay, so that's about numbers to dollars. Let's try this. We have load test and security test. Oh my, it will take a lot of time. We'll do this probably tomorrow. Okay, for me tomorrow actually, because this thing will get lengthy. Let's run one more test. Numbers to words. I don't know how this works. Let's find out. So I'll double click on that and see here what's happening. Okay, here. Okay, so here you want some number. So, and it's supposed to convert number to words. That means if I put 10, it will go to TEN 10. So 100 is HUNDRED. Let's run it. 100. Very good. So now here I'll put assertion as property contains add 100 HUNDRED. Alright. Okay. Something went wrong. Probably I screwed up. Spelling mistake. spelling mistake. It's good to know that I also do mistakes, that I understand what's happening here. Now you run this, my test case is passed, but the moment I change this, my test case fails because assertion shows the response is 100 but it's 10. Alright, this was the second binding. Go back to 100 and run this script. My assertion, I will go to the SOAPUI log, man, check that log, see this, and view this, see that you're doing good. Okay, so that's WSDL testing. This doesn't end here, we will do 2 more. Okay, actually 3 more, but because I'm ending up here, we don't want too much, this already took too much. I will be going through a load test tomorrow and security testing for the same thing. Okay, for the same thing, and we'll go to one more example probably, and probably we'll close this class. Oh, we have rest. Oh, hold this moment. No, we have rest scripts too. We want to do rest. Rest is also there. So we'll go for rest and then one application testing, and we'll close this class. Okay, so probably 3 more classes, 3 to 4 classes, and we'll close. By this time I hope you understood. You know, at that time it was very simple. We just use this, run it, and the result is pass or fail. These assertions were not there, now there are assertions. It's good. We know if are we getting correct response from the server or not. Okay, so that was that's the whole point actually. You send the request, are you getting correct response? If you are getting correct response, then you're good. If not, then something is missing, either from your side or the script is not good. So if the script is not good, you have to reach out to developer and say that, hey, you know what, the script is giving some error here. So developer prefix and give you the URL. This is the URL. I'm sorry, this is WSDL. This is the WSDL. Of course, it's in the URL. You can view it in browser, but it's actually the WSDL. Okay, so that's pretty much. That doesn't end here. We are missing load testing and security testing in this. We'll do that in the next class, and see you in the next class for load testing. We complete this load testing. Okay, and one more example. I don't know I have time for this, but we have REST and application testing too, so we want to go to that too, right? Because it will consume too much time. Okay, make sure you see the logs. If you are getting some error, what's the exactly the error is, see that error. HTTP log as well as SOAPUI log, and memory logs is not that useful unless you are doing load testing. We will go to that. We'll go to that and see what that. Okay, so that's pretty much, and thanks for watching, and I hope you like this class, and I'll see you in the next class for the load testing.